Good morning. It's our last day in London. Our last day. So this was the day that we unexpectedly had.
So we were supposed to leave today.
Yeah.
But thank goodness, because we love this place, so we have another day.
Yes. So when our flights home got canceled, and it was a whole debacle, and we had to get it fixed, but they ended up putting us on a flight tomorrow instead of, and we would already be on the plane home. Yeah. With the original plan. So we didn't plan today so that we could do the things that we sort of found out about.
We wanted to do.
Yeah. So we decided, where are we going today?
Okay, so we're going to the History Museum of London.
Right.
And I'm excited about that. Then we're gonna eat lunch and then go to
the Tate Modern.
The Tate Modern Art Museum.
Right.
And then we're gonna go to the Build-A-Bear. And then do other things that don't involve time.
Yeah. So we're gonna make it to King's Cross Station because we didn't get off the bus yesterday because those buses were being so weird.
And then we're gonna take pictures at the mountain.
Yeah, in Trafalgar Square, because when we were there before, all the stuff was set up for Pride and you couldn't, the fountains weren't on and you couldn't go walk around. So we're gonna go do that too.
And then the best part, we're gonna get ice cream for dinner.
All right, yes. So the plan is to get giant ice creams for dinner from Utterlicious. All right, so I'm gonna cut this video so we don't get lost because we are walking to the Museum of London and it's a route we've never taken before. So we gotta pay attention to what we're doing here. So the place that I wanted to get cardamom buns in Sevendale's Market was never open when I could get them. But then I remembered that I had heard about this place, which actually is supposed to have like the best cardamom buns. So we found it, and I have my cardamom bun, and it smells amazing, and I'm so excited to eat it. Evie has a vanilla bun that also looks very, very good, covered in sugar there. So we're going to try our buns and see how they look. So the review of the cardamom and vanilla buns from Fabrique. I thought, you okay?
It exploded.
Oh no. I thought it was delicious. It looked like it might have like a croissant-y texture because of how woven the dough was, but it wasn't. No, it was a raised dough. So even though the dough was like strips that had been all woven together, it had more of a raised dough type of flavor. And there was a kind of like syrup or something on it, like a glaze almost, that made the bottom sticky and made it kind of chewy. The cardamom was not baked in. It was like crushed cardamom that had been sprinkled on the strips of dough before they were woven together. And I quite enjoyed it. And I'm still crunching little bits of cardamom that are stuck in my teeth. So I get a cardamom hit every now and again, and it's lovely. I thought it was, I liked it a lot. Evie did not like it at all. She did not like the vanilla bun in the least. So she has now acquired a very lemon extracty muffin from Costa Coffee, which is another one of the coffee chains we keep seeing. We're trying not to go to Starbucks, and we're trying the other more like local chains for coffee. So we're walking now on our way to the Museum of London, and we'll see you when we get there. This is the second time ever I've seen the Google Maps guy. This one's on foot. The time before it was in the car on the interstate going to DC maybe? New York? I don't remember. New Jersey? But anyway, Google Maps guy. As we were walking to the museum, baking in the sun because it's very hot today, we stumbled upon the Old Bailey. So for my V for Vendetta fans, you'll recognize it from the beginning, right? Yes.
Hippos have used to live here for a while, but now they don't anymore.
Yes. So hippos, rhinos, elephants, and monkeys and lions all used to live in the area that is now London. So one thing we've learned about the prehistoric folks that lived in this area is that they offered a lot to the River Thames. And so a lot of these artifacts have been found in the river, including the skulls and the swords and the artifacts. And there's actually a hobby called mudlarking that you have to be licensed to do. And you can go basically and you search the river for treasure. And a mudlarker found the oldest skull that's ever been found. It was back over there.
Oh, was it the lady?
No, it was the one that was around the corner.
Oh.
All right, we are moving ahead in time to the Roman occupation, which began in 43 AD. So in the Roman section, there is this necklace of glass beads in the little glass workshop, and it looks exactly like the one we got to hold when we were at the British Museum. So by the end of the 4th century, Rome had fallen, the Romans abandoned Londinium, and the Saxons came in and took over the farmland and the areas. For her scavenger hunt, Evie's supposed to go in the house, but she doesn't want to go in the house because there's noises in the house. She's afraid something's gonna jump out at her. So in 1042, Edward the Confessor becomes king, and he builds the Westminster Abbey, or starts Westminster Abbey, and the palace that we were in yesterday, the Jewel Tower, is the only thing remaining. And then obviously in 1066, you have the Norman invasion, and William the Conqueror becomes king. So I was very interested in the medieval gallery to learn more about the Bubonic Plague, because we all know that in the 3rd grade I made an epic claymation video about the Black Death. But there wasn't really much here about it. What did you find? Oh, some taxidermy animals? Indeed.
I'm so sorry.
Evie said she's excited for this section because there's going to be more death and destruction. Apparently she's into morbid history. So from the 1550s to the 1660s, you have a very turbulent century. Elizabeth comes to power, Shakespeare's writing his plays, the Puritans come into being, the empire is expanding. Then you have the Civil War and the execution of Charles I, the restoration of the monarchy. Then you have a plague that's killing 7,000 people a week. And then in 1666, you've got the Great Fire of London that basically destroys everything. All right, let's learn more about my favorite, the Bubonic Plague. The last major outbreak of plague happened in 1665, where almost 7,000 people a week were dying of plague. It was spread by the fleas on black rats. People would use all kinds of methods to try to protect themselves from the plague, including fuming pots, where they would burn fires and keep things like frankincense and pitch and tar and sulfur going. So imagine the smell on top of all the decomposing bodies. They would also wear the things, plague masks, to try to keep from inhaling the plague. And as we essential oil connoisseurs know, you had
thieves' oil, the people who would rob the bodies wearing the masks, and they would put certain essential oils in the mask because they thought it would keep them from getting the plague. And in fact, right here, we have the opportunity to sniff 3 different herbs that people thought would protect them from the plague. So the first one, we've got to figure out which is which here. All right, lavender was one of them. Cloves was one, which is what's in thieves' oil. And my favorite, Homme d'Amber, which if you know what ambergris is, you know what was in that one. Do you know what ambergris is, Evie? No? It's whale vomit. I'm not joking. They go in the sea and they scoop the vomit out of the water. Yes. All right, and they would make it, mix it with flowers, apparently, onto a pomander and hang that in their homes. So let's see if I can identify the different smells. Here we go. Let's see what this one is. I'm gonna do all 3. Okay, I think this one is clove. No, that's lavender. That one's lavender. Now they're all mixed together. That one's cloves. So this one must be the whale vomit. Yummy.
Okay, so we just learned the place about the grapevine pig, and we started with facts. So the fire started at Pudding Bakery.
At a bakery on Pudding Lane.
Yeah, on Pudding Lane. And it lasted for 5 days. And it burned down like 13,000 houses, but only 6 people died.
Yes.
And it took a long time for it to be rebuilt again.
And what finally stopped the fire, in addition to the wind changing, was they started blowing up the houses to create a fire break, basically, right? All right, and so then afterwards, they developed more firefighting equipment that could be used in fighting future fires, because at the time of the fire, and thereafter, most homes were made of wood, but at the time of the fire, a lot of the homes were medieval homes that were well over 100 years old, so they were very dry and ready to burn. But it was the fire burned so hot that the stones of St. Paul's Cathedral exploded, and the lead melted from the roof. Crazy. During the 1700s, London was a place where many people were thrown in jail as debtors. And this is a cell from a debtor's prison with all the people's names and graffiti carved into it. It was also a very dangerous place to live. Half of all children died of usually disease before they reached the age of 10. Pleasure gardens were a thing that existed. They were on the edge of the city, and you would pay a small fee and anyone could enter, so you would have people from all different social classes. There would be outdoor lighting, dinner, orchestras, and fancy clothes. This is the Victorian Walk. They've taken original storefronts and recreated a city block in London where you could buy almost anything. Oh, Grandma, here we are in the Victorian Walk, and Evie has a treat for you.
Guess what they have now? They have another potty.
Another historical potty.
It was the public restroom.
The public restroom from Victorian times, relocated to the museum.
Yes.
Look at the wide variety of crackers that were available at the grocery. This is the fancy stationer. But look at these glorious specimens that are in here. Those aren't terrifying at all. Evie's on edge that there's gonna be a mannequin around the corner, and a bunch of school children just came running through and scared her to death. There's the pawnbroker. Oh, look, is it a rat or a hedgehog? I can't tell. Votes for women, baby. 1918 is when they finally got the vote. Yep. We're now learning about the evacuation of the children during World War II and what happened to the city during World War II. The sheltering in the tube stations. There's an actual ticket like the one we saw at the Transport Museum yesterday. And Evie is over here exploring what children took with them, and she's deciding what would go in her suitcase if she had been evacuated, and she's finding it incredibly difficult to narrow it down. So during the Blitz, during the bombings of London during World War II, 80,000 Londoners were killed, 1 in 10 of them children, despite the evacuations. On one night during the Blitz, over 100,000 firebombs fell on London. Despite all that, St. Paul's Cathedral remained standing, and it's said that Winston Churchill, after every set of bombings, would say, "Is St. Paul still there?" And every time they would say yes. Now we're in the swingin' 60s, baby, yeah. All right, so here's the display talking about Evie's beloved Doc Martin. She keeps asking me, she has to ask me about something I have a memory of for her scavenger hunt, but I wasn't born in the 70s.
Sure.
Yes, I'm sure. So we have to get to where I was born first.
Okay.
Okay, all right, so we finally made it to things from my time period. So I believe we still have this lovely toy at Grandma's house, don't we? And Evie has drawn a sketch of it for her scavenger hunt. We may have also had some of these other toys. I think we had some of these other ones too.
Teddy bear.
We, like the Fisher-Price xylophone?
Everything Fisher-Price.
Yeah, everything Fisher-Price here we might have had. Yeah, let's see what else. Did we have this guy? Snoopy? I don't know if we had Snoopy, but I've seen Snoopy before.
That's not Snoopy.
Yeah, it's what it's called. It's called Little Snoopy. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. They didn't have a ton from the 80s. So Evie's scavenger hunt says to check the timeline to see if there were things from when people were born and when they were 12. So in 1982, when I was born, the Thames barrier was completed. All right. When Uncle Brandon was born in 1985, the mobile phone systems launched. All right. And 1991 was, of course, a very important year because the first pages appear on the World Wide Web. All right. So Evie would like to thank Tim Berners-Lee for inventing the internet, right?
Yes.
Yes. So we just finished at the London History Museum. Evie got herself a book, the Horrible Histories book about kings and queens, and she got a novel about the suffragettes, and she got some bookmarks about the suffragettes. So what did you think of the museum?
It was cool. I liked it.
Yeah? You liked, this was your kind of museum because you learn all about the history. And it was kind of fun coming at the end where we've already been all around the city and then seeing the history that fills in the gaps for all the things that we've seen. So I would either come here first or last. I think either one has its pros and cons. This museum, we didn't even find out about it until we got to London and started looking for a museum about London. This does not show up on a lot of your list of things to do.
But definitely do it.
But I think it sets the stage for everything that you're going to see and do. So I would highly recommend coming over here. Apparently they're building a new museum like a mile away from here. But I thought this one was lovely and very well curated. What are you doing to the poor horse?
I'm petting it.
Okay, all right. So I don't know why they're building a new one, but anyway, so yeah, you might, and it might not look like this when you come, but I would definitely recommend the Museum of London. So I think we feel the same, maybe not quite as attached to Tesco as we were to Family Mart in Japan.
No, definitely.
Right, that was more hard to leave, yeah, more amazing, but yeah, this is going to be our last Tesco visit. We've gone to Tesco a lot, not just for the meal deal, but to get snacks and water and breakfast foods for the room. Yeah. So our last Tesco visit. It's possible we went a little crazy at Tesco on our last Tesco trip.
It's okay.
Yeah. So we came here to the Gardens of St. Paul. There's St. Paul. And we're gonna picnic our Tesco lunch. So Evie would like to show off everything we have from Tesco.
I got Doritos as my thing because I wanted.
You wanted to try British Doritos?
Yes.
Okay.
My mom got.
I got spicy paprika or paprika.
My mom got this tuna ice.
Tuna salad. Yeah.
Pasta.
They were out of all the sandwiches.
Which is okay because we have to try something new.
Yeah.
My mom got Fruity Twist Fanta.
Yeah. This is probably going to be the best one, just like in Japan where I had the best one on the last day. Evie got this concoction.
I've seen every kid drinking it and I saw that.
Okay, and so it's blue, yeah.
Okay,
she got this pasta salad.
It looks good.
It does. We'll see if it's good cold.
Okay,
all right, and then we went
crazy.
Then we went crazy.
We got Kinder bars.
Okay.
I've never tried them.
We're gonna try that.
Bounty bar.
Bounty bars.
There's more.
A Yorkie, because we don't know what that is. Oh, and an Aero Mint, because that just seemed like Evie's, yeah.
And the most interesting, a Turkish
Delight chocolate bar.
So yeah, we went crazy with the candy.
Yep, so we'll have to do a candy taste test.
Yes.
After we eat our lunch.
And we have to keep forks.
Yeah, Evie loves that they have wooden cutlery as their disposable cutlery instead of plastic here.
They're cute.
Evie's gonna try her blue smoothie thing. All right, it's like a bunch of different fruit juices and it calls itself a smoothie.
It smells really good.
Yeah?
It smells like guava.
It smells like guava. Oh. What does it taste like?
That actually has the texture of a smoothie.
Oh, does it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
It tastes like the kind of like the yogurt.
Uh-huh. Drinks?
Banana drink.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, more similarities between Tesco and Family Mart then, I guess. All right. The tangy cheese Doritos are just like regular Doritos.
This is good.
That's good?
Get this, guys. Get this. The only
Get
brand
this
you
Blue Spark. All right. Then how is this? Have you tasted it yet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, how is it? It's fine. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So
that is actually really good.
Fruit twist is actually very good. It tastes mostly like passion fruit. It's sweeter than the orange or the lemon. This tastes exactly like it sounds. It is pasta salad with corn and tuna. That is exactly what it tastes like. The punchy paprika chips actually have a little bit of a sweetness to them. They kind of smell like a barbecue potato chip, but without the tang of a barbecue potato chip. So it's almost like that flavor, but without the tanginess. It's good. The birds here are very interested in anything that all the picnicking patrons are dropping. Evie dropped a Dorito earlier that was promptly purloined by all the birds. Ooh. All right, it's candy bar taste test time. Which one are you gonna start with? The Bueno bar. All right, let's see. Here's what it looks like on the inside.
Tastes like a Kinder Egg.
Tastes like a
Kinder Egg.
It does kind of taste like a Kinder Egg.
It's Kinder brand.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's got that crispy wafer and then like a hazelnut cream on the inside. All right, we're gonna get all of it. We got all these other ones to taste. All right, which one next? The Yorkie. All right, just looks like chocolate actually. It doesn't look like it's filled with anything.
It's just chocolate.
Huh. Okay, well that's kind of disappointing.
It's good.
It's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, this.
All right, the Turkish Delight. I mean, I'm assuming it's like Turkish Delight inside, covered in chocolate. So.
I'm just gonna take a bite.
Okay. Is it jelly? Is it like Turkish Delight? Okay. All right, so which flavor of Turkish Delight is it?
I don't know. Now about
Yeah, it's like chocolate covered Turkish Delight. I'm also not sure what the flavor of the jelly inside is. It's not very strongly flavored. It tastes mostly like chocolate. All right, Bounty bar.
Don't pull a whisper situation and eat the whole thing without me trying it.
Yeah, it's good.
So, what are you doing?
Scaring the birds.
So it's an almond joy, but without the almond.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
So it's not a Mounds because it's milk chocolate, but it's good. All right, and the last one we got was the Arrow mint because Evie loved the texture of the Arrow and the Whisper, and she loves mint chocolate. So,
Peppermint.
all right,
It's peppermint.
so it's chocolate with like the minty bubbliness on the inside. It tastes like an Andes mint.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
I don't like Andes mints.
Well, do you like this? Because this is exactly what, this tastes exactly like an Andes mint.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
No, it
It's a
doesn't.
slightly different texture,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't like the texture of Andes mint. I
but
like that.
I love this. It tastes exactly like an Andes mint. Wait, which one was your favorite?
The Arrow bar and this one.
The Arrow
And this one. These three.
Yeah, I think I liked the Arrow peppermint the best, and then the Bounty, and then the Bueno, and then the Turkish Delight, and then the Yorkie. Because the Yorkie is just chocolate. So we'll save most of these for later, I guess. We're gonna have so much trouble packing our luggage. I don't know how we're gonna do it. The Tate Modern provides children with a sketchbook, an activity book that they complete and work on while they're exploring the galleries. And of course, Evie was immediately drawn to the kitty cat in this painting, and she is working on her sketch version of it now. The challenge in her sketchbook is to pick something and draw it from a unique angle or perspective. So she's picking these amazing sculptures here, yeah, and she's drawing it from that very difficult to hold pose. You like that one too? Yeah. All three of these are just such happy paintings. Evie's next challenge is to try to describe color without talking about color. And so we've chosen this gallery. However, we're being infiltrated by a loud and rowdy school group. We keep running into loud and rowdy school groups. It must be field trip season in Britain. Evie's next activity is a study in shapes. And so we decided to pick this gallery to talk about shapes because it's very geometric. Everything in this gallery has a very geometric quality to it. So this is actually a color that this artist developed and created with his paint supplier. Yeah, it's so pretty. It kind of goes with your hat. We learned about the Celtic Sheila na gig at the Feminine Power exhibit at the British Museum. And here it is again, showing up in a piece of art at the table. What are you hard at work at now?
Someone forgot to finish these drawings. Can you help?
Ah. Finishing the drawings in front of the Mondrian. So you did your own version of a Mondrian in art class this year?
Yeah, they took that, shape
Mm-hmm.
and recreated it.
Mm-hmm. So this artist spends his time on the Thames excavating and collecting just any and everything he finds, and then curates them into these curio cabinets, sort of playing with the idea of what is art and how art is displayed. Alright, so thoughts about the Tate Modern?
You go first.
I loved it. I love a modern art museum.
It was good. I liked it.
Yeah, there weren't any pieces of art that are like super famous or well known, so there's not going to be anything here that you're like coming specifically to see.
It's just good art.
Yeah, but there was a great selection of art, some really interesting pieces, very thought-provoking pieces. What? And truly like the greatest store I've ever been in. Not just museum store, not just gift shop, like maybe the greatest store I've ever been in. Like the book selection, top notch. The like gift items, top notch. Like seriously, if only I had a store like that in Greensboro, I would never not be able to find the perfect present for anyone ever again.
Or a book, or a good book.
Yeah, like I would have bought the whole store. I loved it. It was great. All right, I think we're gonna walk along the river towards the London Eye so that we can hit that Build-A-Bear, and then figure out public transportation to be able to get from there up to King's Cross, maybe? Yeah. All right. So we decided we're gonna walk along the river to the Eye, but we found an open gate to these stairs, and we keep seeing people down here on the banks of the Thames. So we're gonna come down and see what it's all about, especially after we saw, huh?
What about our shoes?
Our shoes are fine. We're wearing Crocs. It's wet sand. It's not gonna get in our shoes.
Okay.
But especially after we saw that art exhibit about all the stuff that the artist guy has cataloged collecting on the Thames, and then also, not that we're gonna be whatever it was called, it wasn't called muckraking. That was, you know, the journalism issue in the late 1800s. What was it called? I don't know, where they find all the archaeological stuff in the Thames.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Where the people would make peace offerings?
Yes, where they would make the offerings to the gods, right, in prehistoric times. Yeah. So it's like a whole, yeah. So here we are, right across from St. Paul's, Millennium Bridge, all right, on the banks of the Thames. Y'all, I swear, we've been down here for 2 seconds and there's already a piece of bone, a piece of bone, a piece of bone. There really is like stuff all over here, and like river glass and amazing rocks. Unfortunately, technically none of this can be brought back through customs. So we're just gonna have to look at it and enjoy it. I did, as a child, smuggle rocks back from Europe. I hid them in my socks and they made it back. I had tumbled river rocks that I found in a river in Switzerland, I think, or Austria. And I kept them in a water bottle and had played with them the entire trip like they were a little family. And they were like my toys in the back of the car during the trip. But these are like, man, this is so cool. Y'all, this is awakening the same like pleasure sensors I get from hunting for shark's teeth. I've
I've started collecting things in a Tesco bag. I'm gonna look up the legalities of taking it back to the States with me when we get home. Back to the Airbnb before we pack. I think we've accepted our fate that we're gonna have to check a bag anyway, so we'll see how it goes. But this is awesome. This has been a really good last day, and even better because it's like a bonus day. So everything we're doing has just been awesome today. We both agreed that these two museums have been some of our favorites.
Yes.
Yeah. Yo, there are so many bones. Like so many bones. And they're not little chicken bones. They're like big bones. Like look, like that. And I mean, that one's like chicken bone size, but like, yeah, and there's like little bits of pottery. And I mean, I'm sure it's not old or anything, but it's still just cool. But what are all the bones? And some of them are very, very big. This may be one of my favorite things that we've done so far. This part was a little more treacherous to get across, but here there's all of these like metal nails and screws and train ties and things that have been in the river forever. And look at that, there's a huge piece of bone. I won't dig it out though, because the mud is actually kind of gross. But this is still one of my favorite things that we've done. Okay, y'all, look at that gigantic piece of bone. You have to understand how big this is. There it is in my hand. That is big. That is big. So we've walked all along the south bank, which we hadn't done yet. And it's there's like little market stalls, lots of food trucks, lots of little restaurants. There was a skate park. Not as many like street performers and things as I thought there might be. But it's nice walking along the river. It is hot today. It's actually legitimately hot today. I'm sure the Londoners are dying. But we're almost to the London Eye and the Build-A-Bear, which is where we're headed. And yeah. All right, so in our hustle and bustle to get down to, or up to King's Cross during rush hour on the tube, we stopped for a snack at Greg's, which was the other place I had really wanted to try. So I got a sausage roll, and it's like a flaky pastry with sausage on the inside. It's sort of like a pig in a blanket, like a hot dog that you cook in a crescent roll, but it's a flakier pastry, a flatter pastry, and it's sausage. She's getting ready. Do you want to show Duffy's matching scarf? Oh, she and Duffy Hufflepuffs together. Are you photobombing me? Why are you upset? She feels that her house is getting the short end of the stick because even my house gets a scrunchie and her house doesn't have a scrunchie because the Huffly Puffs, they're just...
But Newt Scavenger is a Hufflepuff!
That's true, and they do have a lot of merch for Fantastic Beasts. Yeah, they've got a Niffler and a Bowtruckle. Yeah, and they got Pygmy Puffs. Most of this stuff is just like what is at Harry Potter. Except, yeah, some of the stuffies are slightly different. They're not as cute as the ones at Universal. And you can only get butterbeer in these fancy bottles, and we're pretty sure it wouldn't be as good, so I don't think we're gonna get any. But
what did we do wrong? This is how big our area is, and everyone else gets like a bunch more.
But at least they had Hufflepuff scarves to wear while you ran at platform 9 3/4. And Duffy's got his Hufflepuff scarf that he just picked up at Build-A-Bear. Yeah? Well, anyway. All right, so you knew we had to make a pilgrimage to platform 9 3/4 here at King's Cross Station. And yeah, we've seen a few other Harry Potter filming locations, right? Like the bridge, and we saw the phone booth where they go down into the Ministry of Magic from the bus tour. And we saw the Australia house that they said was Gringotts, part of where they were filming Gringotts. But yeah, so there's a whole Harry Potter tour you can take when you come to London if that kind of thing's your jam. But we just came here.
She's not wrong. For the hair stuff, all they have is Ravenclaw, Slytherin, and Gryffindor. No Hufflepuff.
All right, it's core memory time. We're having ice cream for dinner. All right, Evie's got her favorites.
Well, I haven't tried the lemon before.
Haven't tried the lemon? Lemon sorbet, mango sorbet, dragon fruit, bananas. Okay. And I got malted Maltesers, espresso chocolate biscotti, and the banana caramel. It's the best ice cream in the world. Last time we're ever gonna have it. Cheers. Cheers.
All right. So these are all of my treasures from the Thames. We have bones of wondrous variety. And we found out that the reason there are so many bones on the River Thames is because hundreds of years ago, they would just dump the slaughtered animal carcasses into the river. And so bones just constantly wash up. And with some regularity, human bones wash up. Oh. Because so many people have died and been dumped into the Thames, or jumped into the Thames, or drowned in the Thames, and so on. I don't think these are human bones. I think these are probably cow and pig, mostly.
Hey!
I would imagine. I would imagine, right? Given their size, given what they are. And I can't really tell from the internet whether I am allowed to bring any of these back to the US. My guess is it's not worth the potential fines if I'm not. So I'm not going to bring them, even though some of them, like this guy here,
I really want to bring that one.
like he's so cool. And this guy here is super amazing too.
Did you find out where the pottery?
And then all of these where you can see into the long bones, because all the marrow's gone, but you can see the spongy texture inside the long bones. And so this is a rib, right? Like they're so cool. They're so cool. I'm gonna have to leave them behind. I'm gonna have to, I don't know. I know. I'm gonna have to figure that out. I know. All right. Then we also found some shards of pottery, which again, I'm sure are not old, but they were still cool. And some of them have been tumbled, so they're very like soft from the, you know, soft edge from the river. And then I found 2 pieces of glass that were worth keeping that have been tumbled enough to be kind of interesting and cool. And then I'm not gonna bring back the abalone shell, even though he's very pretty too, because he may or may not fall into that wildlife category. But as far as I can tell, I think you can bring rocks. So maybe I did not commit a crime at 8 years old when I brought the rocks back. So I think we're gonna bring the rocks, the flint that we found, and I think we're gonna bring the glass, and I might bring a few, I might bring the pottery. Yeah, I might bring the pottery too, because that's cool. But all my super amazing bones, I think I'm gonna have to leave behind. I know, that one's really cool. I actually have one kind of like that at home. No, I don't think that's gonna help. I think these days they would catch you. And it's like a $10,000 fine if you bring back animal products that aren't allowed. And I can't get a definitive answer on whether like 150-year-old whatever skeletons from the River Thames are allowed. You are allowed to collect them. Okay, the mudlarking that you have to have a permit for is if you dig or use a metal detector. But you are allowed as a person to collect anything from the top layers of the beach along the River Thames. So if you were a Brit, you would be very much allowed to collect all of these bones. And you could have an awesome bone collection. So I'm so jealous.
I just want to keep this one.
I know, that one. They're all so cool. Like the interior of these is so cool. Like you can't see it on the video how cool, and the textures and how neat it is. I don't think you should. I don't think we can. I know, they're so interesting. All right, it's time to start packing, unfortunately.